Okay, I begin this Teach Me presentation this morning with a curious observation. We have these things in schools called assessments. We use them to monitor achievement, to guide future teaching and learning opportunities, and to provide feedback to our students. Now, surely this term assessment encompasses every possible way to do that. And yet, we have this other term that we use called alternative assessments, which seems to imply that there was only one way, and now there may be others. So when we say alternative to what? And of course, I'm just messing with you because for as long as we've been around, the term assessment has been synonymous with the term tests in mathematics, right? Put your hand up if, like me, the only formal assessment you ever did in maths was a test. Thank you. We need to assess them, and so we test them. And I understand why. It's because we can mark them, grade them, rank them. They can't copy from each other, and the marking criteria is completely objective. And sometimes these tests are really good quality and actually assess right through from a limited to an extensive understanding sometimes. But if we don't test them, then what is the alternative? And if this is the image that many people have of assessments in mathematics, and let's be honest, mathematics in general, then how do we change that, and why should we change it? Well, here's a fantastic reason. This has been doing the rounds on social media recently, and we should all be really concerned about that because we teach the most beautiful subject in the entire world. A subject where we learn to problem solve, to think both critically and creatively, to communicate, to reason, to persevere. How many of you have ever spent 2 or 3 hours just trying to conquer one question from a past HSC paper, right? This is the art of working mathematically. And yet fewer and fewer students are choosing the courses that really, really stretch us to our limits in this skill. Why? Because this. Universities have responded to that decline, particularly the University of Sydney, by introducing prerequisites for these higher level courses so that students can access the maths at university level. But the reality is, as mathematical idealists, we should want kids to choose our subject because they want to, not because they have to. We want them to choose it because they're dying to see more. And that has to start with students being engaged from the moment they step foot into our high school mathematics classrooms. And if our assessment is engaging, then our teaching and learning opportunities will be also. So, I would like to share a task or 3 that we have been using at Chester Hill High School. This is a brand new one. It's called Designing a Clock, and it's the first formal assessment that our Year 7 students do in high school. And the students have to develop a clock using questions to represent the numbers 1 to 12 using what they've learnt about in computation with integers. Now, this task was accessible to every student in Year 7 because even for those students who were extremely limited in their understanding, they could create a simple question like the ones displayed on the clock. But look what it showed us. I shared this on Facebook the other day. This student would have absolutely annihilated a test in this topic area, but this assessment task really allowed her to flourish. I have another example in my folder actually, where a student took the time to draw little icons of really famous places around the world and highlighted what time it would be in those places when it was 12 noon in Australia. Why did she do that? Because she loves maths, and we need those kids to still love maths when they get to choosing their subjects for Year 11 and 12. Look what else it showed us. It highlighted that so many students could execute a fantastic question using grouping symbols absolutely correctly, and then immediately write another one using grouping symbols that weren't necessary at all, and then immediately write another one where they should have used grouping symbols and didn't. So now we have this focus area for further development before the students have to do that pen and paper test in the half-yearly exam. Our second task is not quite as adventurous. In fact, it's a really great task that you might use if you were experimenting with alternative tasks for the first time, because it's what I would call non-traditional with a twist. Okay, so the students have to create a collage of percentages that they find all over the place, and then using one of those percentages that is displayed in their collage, and the teacher selects this, so it's an opportunity for differentiation, then they will answer some traditional style questions about it in an in-class component. But every question comes back to connecting to the stuff that they found in their collage, which they see in real life, including a question where they explain the meaning and context of that percentage. So the final section of the task takes one of those traditional questions that we always ask in every task of fractions, decimals and percentages. Arrange these in ascending or descending order, where answers are either right, wrong or in the wrong order. And it transforms it so that the students have an opportunity to demonstrate the depth of their understanding of that skill. And I got this idea from the Stage 3 and 4 transition conference. The final task I'll share about today is our NRL Statistics task that we use in Year 9. And students analyse the points scored over 22 rounds of 2 NRL teams. The assignment gives them an opportunity to play with spreadsheets. And depending on the stage they're accessing, they can construct back-to-back stem and leaf plots, calculate 5-number summaries, construct dot plots, discuss the differences in standard deviation, and then they compare and contrast the findings. And they decide whether their findings are actually consistent with the true rankings of the team. So, is points scored a good indicator? We do this assignment just before the footy finals begins, and students love it. Okay, we use templates and scaffolds to support the Stage 4/5.1 students, and we develop the reasoning and communication skills of every student at all levels with this task, as they learn the real stuff of data, not just calculating 25,000 questions where you have to find the mean, range, mode and median. And about actually drawing conclusions about what the data means, which they need in their everyday life. And so these are our alternative assessments in Years 7 to 10 at Chester Hill High School. There are so many ways for us to assess our students. So let's formalise it so that we can stop calling them alternative and just call them assessments.